Miss Harrison, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What does Mrs. Harrison's classroom have?
What is Mrs. Harrison?
For specials, because I had to tell my class they had art because they asked during crew and I didn't know.
Gotcha. So they had PE right before break. So that would mean music again, my friends. That would mean music. So that would be music. All right. So here we are, friends. We'll just get started. So today is our final lesson for Unit 1. And oh my goodness, this you can tell I'm rusty on this, can't you? So today's our last day of Unit 1. This is not the last day of our modules. We are going to be, oh my goodness. There we go. We are going to still be doing work with frogs and adaptations in the wide world of frogs. But after today, and starting next week, we're going to be focusing on the nonfiction reading about amphibians and frogs and finding out about some reptiles even as well. But that starts next week. Today is our last assignment, our last lesson for this particular lesson, this unit. So at the end, before break, we had a little bit of a time when we did we did a little quiz on adjectives and adverbs and comparative and superlative adverbs and adjectives, and that was sort of a word work sort of kind of assignment. Then we also graded, Mrs. Aubin and I spent quite a bit of time grading your pourquois, your written pourquois based on your writing scores. And then today we have a reading assignment. You're going to use your pourquois to help us get a reading grade, a reading assessment grade, and that's what you're going to be working on today. In fact, here is my next slide. It is time for a frog festival. Today is the day that you're going to share your stories with others. And we're going to do that I'll show you it. We're going to do it through Flipgrid. And you're going to have an opportunity to read your story to everybody. We're going to practice a little bit with just one person today, but you're going to have that opportunity to share it with everyone. Here's the target. I can read my pourquoi tale aloud, accurately, and with expression. So today you are going to pull up your written pourquoi that you typed out, and you are going to have an opportunity to read that using all of our fluent reading criteria and skills. And here they are. These are the items that you are going to be using. They pretty much are the same thing we've been talking about. You did a lot of practicing with your story, hopefully, before the break. But basically, fluent readers read smoothly, correct themselves after they make mistakes. So today you're going to be recording your story. So what I do say in the Flipgrid video that I made is that if you make a lot of mistakes, you don't have to use that video. You could stop it, delete it, and make another and make the video start again. And obviously we appreciate it when you go back and self-correct, and that's what fluent readers do. But if you notice that you have several times where you're making some mistakes, feel free to go ahead and start over again. That's totally fine. All right. We're going to read it in appropriate volume for everyone to hear. So my suggestion is today, when you're recording your Flipgrid, make sure you're in a room where there isn't a lot of distraction and a lot of noise so that you can be able to be heard well. Read at an appropriate pace for everyone to understand. So Mrs. Aubin and I will be grading these, and we'll be looking for expression and all these other things. But if you're reading too fast, we won't be able to tell what you were reading. So not too fast, not too slow, just the right speed. Make sure that you're pausing at commas, which we used for dialogue. Make sure you're stopping at periods. Make sure if you have questions, you're sounding like questions, or exclamations, you're sounding excited. Change your voice and volume depending on your meaning. So if someone's really excited, your voice will sound like that. You might even get a little louder. Or if somebody's very depressed, You want to be able to be heard, but you want to lower your voice and maybe become a little quieter. Again, that would help to have a nice quiet place to do your job today. Change your tone to match the message. Again, expression is really important for fluent readers. Read dialogue between the quotation marks with expression. So if you have two characters that are talking, you need to make sure that it sounds like two different characters are talking and distinguish your voice in some way. That doesn't mean you make a silly voice. That just means you distinguish with your voice that a new character is talking. And because you're on a video, you can even make face, your face and your body language can help convey meaning. If somebody's excited and you're reading, and I will show you how you can have both Flipgrid up and your story up so that you can you'll actually be looking at your screen for your story, but you will, so you'll be actually kind of like reading to us in the camera. And you can use that, a lot of those things. Wow, I see that I have some people who definitely have their hands up. Do I have some questions that I need to answer? Miss Abby, do you have a question?
That was for earlier, but I already forgot what it was.
Okay, Mr. Ryder, I saw that you had your hand up too.
I think we had art last time that last week that we were on school.
Okay, I can double check that in when we're done here. Does that sound okay? Will you help me remember?
Yeah, we had art last time.
You had art before the break? Okay, so then that would mean that you have PE this week then? I'll double check. Let me double check as soon as we're done here, okay? All right, so those are the things we're looking for. Those are the things Mrs. Aubin and I will be looking for when we are grading your Flipgrid today at this point. Okay, so some things that you're going to need to do before you go to your Flipgrid. The first thing you're going to do is when you open your story, and I'm going to give you a chance to open up your story and have that up before we go into breakout rooms today. You're going to read with a neighbor or read with a peer and get some stars and steps from your peer. But before you do it for the Flipgrid, you definitely need to look over the notes that Mrs. Aubin and I made on your stories. And we didn't want to make the corrections in the story ourselves, but we put lots of notes in of things that you need to maybe fix, capitals, periods, maybe some spelling errors, but mostly also things that you might have missed and forgotten in your story. And we also put our scores in there. So you're going to want to look at those before we do our assignment today. You're going to want to make some of you are going to have to complete the story before you can make your Flipgrid. You don't want to just be reading just a small part of your story, especially if you haven't gotten to the part with the dialogue or with the ending, because that helps with us to be able to look at, voice quality and expression. So if you don't have those in there, you're definitely going to want to make sure you complete that today. Or if you left some things out that Mrs. Aubin and I wrote down there, you might want to make those changes. I suggest that even when we're done here and I let you go, that you should practice reading your story a few times to yourself all the way through, keeping in mind all of those fluency skills that we just talked about, okay? And you can also refer to them again from this slideshow. So I would definitely practice a couple of times all the way through. If you have an adult in the house that's available, you could read it to them. If you have a pet that's in your house, you could read it to the pet. Or just read it to yourself a couple of times. Mrs. Harrison even read her story a couple of times, our story that is on the Flipgrid, a couple of times before she actually recorded it, okay? And then when you're feeling really good about it, and you think, gosh, I think I've really got this down, then you're going to go to the Flipgrid link that's included on today's assignment, and I'll show you where that is, and you're going to go and record your story. Okay, and then others are going to be able, not just Mrs. Aubin and I, but others are going to be able to hear your story as well because they are so cute. We definitely want to share them. Okay, all right. So in a moment, we're going to practice with a peer. Partner one will read the story, and then the partner will give a star and a step of something they did really well, something that they think they should do to improve their fluent reading. You're going to repeat with partner 2. Then the other person is going to have an opportunity to share their story, and you need to give a star or a step to them. Now, when you're doing this, we've got to remember some of our EL habits of character. And today we're really going to be working on being an ethical person and showing respect. And sometimes when we end up with out in a breakout room, sometimes we've noticed that both people are super respectful. They have their camera on, they're engaging, they're participating. Those are the things that we're asking you to do today. All right. Sometimes we notice that somebody just wanders off or refuses to participate. That is not being ethical. That is not showing respect to the other person. That is not giving that other person the option of being able to improve, or even getting an option. Sometimes one of you or both of you can actually show the other person something that maybe they didn't realize a fluent reader could do, and or something that they can use to become a better reader. And if both people aren't participating, it's a problem. So, and that also means that when you're treating others with respect and care, this is our first morning back. I understand that some of us are, still tired and we're still getting back into the groove. You need to be respectful of the other person, that this might be hard for them. It's also hard sometimes to read in front of other people. And we just know that we're going to treat our partner like we would want to be treated. Okay. Also, making sure that we, when we're being respectful to somebody, we use our kind words. You did a great job with this. And when you're telling them their step, the thing they need to work on, remember, you're giving them advice, things that they can work on. You're not telling them that they're a horrible reader. You're not saying it in those words. You're telling them what they can work on, not what they did badly. There's a difference there. Okay. So those are the things that we're going to look for respect today. And I want all of you to be thinking about that. This is that thing that always happens to me when I can't get out of, I'm not ready for that last slide yet. Okay, so I want to show you, I'm still sharing my screen here. So what you're going to want to do today, so everybody do this with me, because we're going to get ready to do a breakout room here soon. I want you to go ahead and open a tab, and some of my kids probably already have this tab open, because at least my group, because I've asked them to work on something. So you're going to go ahead and open another tab and go to your Google Drive or your Google Docs. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go to my Google Docs instead, because I have a lot of stuff on my Google Drive. You could still find it on your Google Drive, but it's probably easier to go to your docs and to find your story. There's my Why Do Pollywogs Wiggle? So I see, because I used it today, I had it open today. I'm going to click on it. You might have it further down if you were doing some other things, or if you haven't seen it in a while. You're going to go ahead and click on that and have it up so that you can have a moment to look at it and see what Mrs. Aubin and I may have typed on it, if you haven't already. But you need to make sure that that is available for you for when you're going to read it to your partner. Yes.
You know that little tip at the top, the very, very top one that you gave me? It was like so long I couldn't read it all.
If you click on it, it'll show you it'll open it up to the whole thing, probably.
Yeah, I clicked on it and that did not happen.
Okay.
It's gone.
It's gone now?
No, it said like respond, like say like okay or something like it.
Oh, you don't have to respond to any of the comments. Both Mrs. Aubin and I wrote comments on there to help you improve it and to show you why you got the score that you got at this point. So for my kids, I gave them the opportunity to finish for some of them to improve that score a little bit. But I have to be able to see that you, worked on that for sure. All right. So now that you have your story up, I'm going to double check here. I'm going to go back to my, I want to make sure everybody has a thumbs up. so that we are ready. I would go ahead and I'm going to give everybody a chance to reread for just a moment, because I'm going to give you I'm going to make breakout groups, but I want everybody to be able to see their whole piece, because you're going to read it to a partner, and you want to be able to do that well. Gives it extra. So Miss Renee, what can I do for you, babe?
I don't know how to get into comments or how to tell what you told me to fix.
So did you open your story? Did you open your story?
No, I'll go to that.
Go ahead and open your story, because then you'll see the comments that we had. Miss Haley, let's put away the yes, Miss Haley Booker. Go ahead and put that away for me. Thank you.
And Mrs. Harrison, can I please ask Sawyer Jensen to turn on his video?
Yes,
Because
please.
it will be very difficult, Sawyer, for your partner to have a good experience if they cannot see you. So I can call your mom, or we can, and see if I can help in some way. Or you can just turn it on right now for me like you did during crew. So Sawyer, we talked about this during crew, remember? You have to keep your video on. I've got my phone right here. I'm getting ready to call mom, or you can just follow directions.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Aubrey, for taking care of that. Yes, we definitely all want our camera on, because we're just about to read. So I see some of us need to be sitting up proper for school. I see some of us are laying down. This is school, friends. I know it's a rough get back in the groove, but Mrs. Aubrey sitting up ready to go. I know it. All right. So yes, Miss Renee, did you get your story up?
I did get my story up, and the comments didn't come.
The comments usually are in like an orange color or a blue color. Then they're usually on the side.
Mine are in an orange color. Mine are in an orange color. So if
Okay.
you like click it on the side, will it tell you what to do?
Oh, well, no. Well, Mrs. Aubin would have written if there needed to be a capital or something that needed to be changed. She would have written a little message on the right-hand side there. And those are just like, if you had given it to us on a piece of paper, we would have written on it, right? Like Mrs. Aubin and I write on the paper, but we didn't have a paper to write on. So those are kind of like our comments that we would have written if we could have. I mean, it's rough when we can't do that. All right, so I'm looking for thumbs up if everybody is ready to share to be able to practice their story with their partner. So I'm looking for thumbs up. I see Lucas is ready.
Miss Harrison,
Yes, Lucas.
do we have to share our screens while we read?
No, you are just going to read you can just look at the camera, and as long as you have it up, and you can just read it to your partner that way. They don't have to read along at all, because we're not going to read a lot. When you're doing the flip grid, you're just going to be reading it to us. We're going to be grading what we hear, not what we see. All right? So does that make sense, Lucas? Okay. I'm still looking for thumbs. I know your thumbs are tired, but I'm still, because I'm trying to go through everybody. I'm going to make sure everybody's thumb is up and everybody's got it ready to read. Yes, Max, do you have a question? Or Xbox?
Where is the Flipgrid link that you were talking about where we
Okay, don't worry about the Flipgrid link yet. I'll tell you where it is, okay? When we're done with our breakout group. All right, just to share with your partner first, and I will show you where the Flipgrid is, I promise, okay? All right. Okay, it looks like everybody's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and give that last moment of, oh, my breakout room disappeared. That's not so good. All right, so I'm going to go for groups of 2. I'm hoping that it's an even number, but it's not, darn. So I'll have to figure out why it didn't give me groups of 2. Some of them did. All right. Sorry, friends. Let me add a couple rooms and see who I can pull into. I don't know why it wouldn't do that. I guess because modern technology, friends, who knows? All right. I'm going to finish up here. Okay, I think everybody's got a group of 2, but 1 group. And that's Mrs. Obbins' group, so that works out perfectly. All right, everybody, remember so let's review. 1 person is gonna read their story fluently, as best as they possibly can. Partner 2 that's listening is looking for some really good star and something they can improve on, a step. You're gonna share that information, then partner 2 is going to read their story. Partner A is going to give a star and a step. All right, we're all clear, right?
Mrs. Harrison, I have 2 students who do not have stories. Can I have them work on them during this time, but they need to stay on?
Yes. Do I need to move some breakout rooms then?
Paxton and Lyric, I already did it with them. I got their Google Doc started and shared with me.
Okay.
But I don't want them to leave. But
Yes,
if you could
no.
not put them in a group.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. I think I can fix that. Let me see.
Miss Harrison,
Yes.
I'm not done with my story either.
Okay, Jay, you're gonna need to read what you've got.
Yeah, these are 2 kids that have nothing, so they can't share. But
Okay.
people who have most of their story can share.
Yes. All right. I'm ready. Off you go. Go read to each other. You got about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. About 10 minutes. All right. Mr. Van Rickley, go ahead and hit the join button. You'll see a join, little join sign come up. Go ahead and hit join.
There's no join button.
Okay, let me figure that out. That's weird. Okay. Let me open another. Ooh, I can't open another room. Okay, I will fix this. All right, head over there. Now you should see one, bud. Lila Morris, are you there? Lila Morris. Lila Morris. Your person is waiting for you.
Sorry, my internet's going out.
Okay, please join because Logan's waiting for you.
There is no breakout rooms on my screen. It says the host has opened breakout rooms. Please wait to be assigned.
All right, let me do it again. Let's see. Because it says you're in, it says breakout room 16. And now, okay. Oh, now she's gone. All right. Hopefully she's there now. Okay. Hey, Abby, where's your partner?
I didn't have a partner.
All right, I'll go move you to a group, okay?
Okay.
All right, I don't know what happened to your partner, but I will find you a new group.
going to hunters know. They said this was going to be hard, and then they all tried. They got past one, but they needed one more. This one was trickier than they thought, but they did it. The point of the story is to always get food.
Nice. All right.
Mrs. Harrison, you're muted.
You cannot have walkover. Hey, Mr. Ethan, do you have any suggestions for Henrik? A star or a step? Something you thought he did well?
Oh, I wasn't really paying attention, but that was a pretty good story.
All right.
But poachers don't know. But poachers often hunt frogs. But they probably shouldn't, since humans are actually the deadliest animal.
All right. Mr. Henrik, I liked how you stopped at your periods. That what you did a nice job with your punctuation there. Maybe when you're on your Flipgrid, you might want to add just a little bit, slow down just a tiny bit, and maybe give a little bit more like expression, do you think, maybe? Especially
Okay.
during the exciting part, do you think? Maybe? Yeah. All right, Mr. Ethan, did you get to read your story yet?
We could not get it to display at the same, in the breakout room. When we're in the other room,
Okay, well, you know what? If he can just read it, he doesn't have to display it. If he just wants to read it to Henrik, if you can just open that tab and he can read it to Henrik, that'd be fine.
okay, I'm not quite sure how to get there. I can minimize this breakout room and then
Yeah.
maybe we'll try to find it.
Yeah, because his video will still show him.
Yeah, well, the video doesn't show, but I can hear you. So
Well, right. That's what I mean, is Henrik will be able to see Ethan, even if you have it, mute, put down.
Oh, okay. Okay, Ethan, would you?
That's what's really important. All right,
Okay.
I'm since you guys have got it, I'm gonna go ahead and see somebody else. Henrik,
Okay,
give Ethan a star and a step, okay?
okay, Ethan.
Okay. Hopefully everybody got a chance to do their reading. Give me a thumbs up if you got a good star or step from your partner. Oh, lots of good thumbs. All right, good job.
I couldn't really give Max Fox a step because his story was already pretty good, so I couldn't find like a step to give him.
Oh, well, that is a very nice compliment. But we just don't forget that we always try. We try to give somebody a way to improve.
I was thinking
Miss Pearson, can I give you some
step,
feedback?
but I couldn't find.
What I noticed in my breakout groups is, again, they were giving feedback about the story and not about fluent reading. So if we could just refresh what fluent readers do so that they have that in their mind when they do the Flipgrid video.
Yeah.
So both groups did not, it was about, oh, you had good details, or I liked the way.
Which is so funny because the last time we had trouble with the opposite of that.
Right. Yes, I remember.
It's okay. We're all working it through. Okay, my friends. So let's remember what we're working on today. We are working on fluent reading. So here we go. Here's the things we need. We need to read smoothly, correct ourselves if we make mistakes, read at an appropriate volume for everyone to hear, in this case for the video to hear that you're about to do, read at an appropriate pace for everyone to understand all of the words, not too fast, not too slow, pausing at commas and stopping at periods, reading questions. If you have a question, the title of your story might be a question, so it should sound like a question. Why do pollywogs wiggle? That is a question. Make sure that if you have excited exclamations, if you put an exclamation mark in there, your voice better be showing that it's an exclamation. Change your voice and volume depending on the meaning. If something's sad, your voice will be sad. If it's exciting, your voice will be exciting, and so forth. Change your tone to match the message. If it's scary, sound scared. Make sure that when you read dialogue, this was excellent thing. Max Diesberg gave a star to Evie and said that you could really tell the dialogue, the difference in the way that she spoke from her character's point of view. And you're also capable of using facial expression and body language to convey the meaning of your story. You're not acting out your story. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to be, you know, acting it out. But as you read, especially if you watch Mrs. Harrison's Flipgrid, you'll see that I use facial expression during my story. I can use some gestures a little bit because you're not holding a paper, you're reading it off the screen. So I use my hands a little bit, but we're not acting it out. We're not frogs. We're not acting like frogs, okay? That is not what we're doing today. We're not acting it out. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and escape out of, oh, maybe not. Escape out of that. And so I'm going to show you how to get to our grid today. So you're going to go ahead. Oh, I have some extra voices. I'm not sure if someone's trying to talk to me or not, but.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Haley.
So I want to know how to pop out the Flipgrid and then the story so that you can read the story while you're doing your Flipgrid.
Okay, I will show you that right now. So you can see my screen right now, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so right now I have my Google Slides as one tab. I have my story as another tab, right? And I'm now getting to my Google Classroom because I'm going to show you where, so now we're in classwork. And then I look under, today is January 16th, or January 6th, sorry. I was already into next week. Here's my assignment. So I'm going to open it up. So now you can see here's Mrs. Harrison's, this is where we get the Google Slides, right? But I already have them open. Here's the Flipgrid, right, Miss Haley? Max Fox, are you seeing this, buddy? Okay, so I'm going to click on Flipgrid and watch what happened, Miss Haley. What opened?
The Flipgrid
A
assignment.
Flipgrid. What do I still have over here?
You still have the story.
My story, right? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to give, it says Pourquoi Story by Assessment by Mrs. Harrison. I'm going to click on Join with Google, right? And then it's going to give you my choices. I'm Mrs. Harrison, so I'm going to click on Mrs. Harrison. It's going to log me in. This is what it's going to look like, right? Miss Abby, are you paying attention? All right. So it's got the directions. After you've practiced reading your Pourquoi fluently, record yourself using all of the criteria for fluent readers. If you make a mistake or need to start again, delete your work and begin again on a new recording. This is for your EL fluency assessment. So please do your best job. So my friends, this is for a fairly large grade, okay? Out in the Mrs. Harrison's grade book. So you cannot skip this and say, I'm just not going to do it. This is an important assignment. All right. So here's Mrs. Harrison's story. Here's Mrs. Harrison explaining what to do. And also me showing you me reading. Okay. And when I read it, all I did was I clicked on record a response. And I can even do this right now. Recording a response. I don't know if it's going to let me. It's probably not going to bring up my camera because I'm already on Zoom. But see, there you go. But when you press, I can click onto the record button. And then after I hit the record button, Haley, are you watching? Then I'm going to click on my story. And my story is what I see. But the video is still recording me reading it. Does that make sense? Okay, so I can see my story. It's recording me, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing all my reading. And then when I'm done reading, I go back to my Flipgrid and I can hit stop. All right. Does that make sense, Miss Haley? Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, Abby, are you the one that has a
It
question?
makes a lot more sense now.
Okay.
I think Abby and me have a question.
Okay.
Abby and Debbie, I believe.
Okay, Abby, go ahead and ask the question, sweetie.
So it's kind of like we see our story, but like let's say Bird was watching my video, but Bird sees me.
Bird's gonna see you just reading out loud, yes. So if you watch here, if you watch my video, you're gonna notice that Mrs. Harrison, you're just seeing her face, but I'm seeing my story, okay? So I saw Why Do Pollywogs Wiggle, my Google Doc. I'm reading it, but you're seeing me, you'll see me just read the story out. It looks like I'm just telling the story to the screen, okay? All right.
Logan Peters has a question.
Yes, Logan.
I know a way to share your screen to your camera and Flipgrid.
Say that again.
I know a way to share your screen with the camera growing in Flipgrid.
Oh, then go for it. If you know how to do that, I'd love you can. Excellent. But
Serene has a question.
okay, just remember, folks, Mrs. Aubin and I are grading the quality of your reading. We're grading all of those things that fluent readers do. Okay, so that's what we're grading. And make sure that you put yourself in a nice place where it's quiet and you can and that we can hear. Don't do your Flipgrid in the middle of, with your brothers and sisters, doing jumping jacks in the background. Okay, try to find someplace quiet. All right, yes, Lucas, and then I'll take Serene.
We're reading the story from our EL book, right?
No, you're reading it from your document. You can use your workbook if you absolutely have to. If your story is not completely typed, you could use your book. But Lucas, you should be able to flip. See how I'm on the Flipgrid page?
Yeah.
And then if I click record, and then I go over, if I click record, the record screen comes on. I hit start. I can also click on my story and just read my story from where I typed it. Does that make sense?
Okay, and it'll still be recording?
Yes, it certainly will. It will. All right, Miss Serene, your question.
When you do a Flipgrid, it makes you the video is really short. So I might have to do multiple videos.
You have up to 10 minutes on your video. It's not a short one. I gave you 10 minutes to do it. So nobody's story is 10 minutes long. So you have plenty of time to read your whole story on the Flipgrid.
Okay.
Yep, I gave you 10 minutes. Nobody needs 10 minutes, but it gave me choices of 5 and 10. So in case somebody needed to go over the 5, I let it. So you should have plenty of time.
And how do you...
Sawyer, put that away. Put that away, Sawyer.
Serene, go ahead.
How are you going to record response and read off of your screen?
So you click record a response.
Okay.
It's not going to let me do it right now because I'm on a Zoom. But but you're going to get your picture of you here. You're going to go ahead and click start. Like it counts down. It'll count. It'll do the little start button, and then you just click on your story, and there it is. Okay. And then it's still recording you. And then when you finish reading your story, you just click back on Flipgrid and hit stop. And it will record you that whole time. Or if you're really struggling, Miss Serene, you can read it out of your workbook if you really need to. Okay, that'd be fine too. All right. Anybody else have a question before I let you go and do that?
Lennox has a question.
Lennox, go for it, buddy.
what's the Flipgrid class code?
You shouldn't need one, sweetie. They have one up here, but you shouldn't need it. All you have to do is click on the Flipgrid button, and then it's going to have you, yeah. I have to get rid of it entirely. If you click on the Flipgrid, it will, I've already checked in, so I'm already signed in. But it's going to say, you can, what's the word for it? You can put in your, it says log in with Google. Just click on Google and then pick your name and it'll send you right here, sweetie.
Charlie Carr has a question.
Yes, Mr. Charlie. Thank you for that.
I have a piece of paper that I printed out, and do you want me to, do you want a person to look at the screen, or is it?
That's a good question. So Charlie, if yours is already printed out and you feel more comfortable reading it on the paper, that's fine. Because we're grading your reading ability. We're not grading your acting skills on the screen. Okay. So whichever one makes you feel better. Okay. Just do whatever one you like. You can do the paper or on the screen. It's okay either way.
And kiddos, I noticed Henrik left the meeting and did his. I will be calling his mother and he will have a consequence. So I just want to reiterate what I said in my crew. You are not to leave our live lessons until you are dismissed. You are at school. So there will be consequences, especially if you're coming back in person.
And guys, remember, this is just like school. You wouldn't just walk out of our classroom and leave and go home, right? Without us letting you go. So same kind of idea, all right? All right, anybody else? I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and just, hopefully we're good. Max Fox, do you have a question? I'm having a really hard time hearing you, Max. Can you, I also have, it sounds like I have somebody else that I'm listening to. Let me make sure I've got everybody else muted. Muted here. All right, Max, say again, sweetie.
So when we're in, how do we like listen to when people are talking? How do we like when we're when we're reading? We hear distraction from other people. Like, how do we not hear the distractions?
Okay, so when you're not going to do it with me, well, I'm going to dismiss you to go do it. And then so you'll just have you and wherever quiet space you can find in your house, wherever you are, to do your work. And then you can listen to some of the other kids read their stories after you're finished with yours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to do it with us here. You're going to go ahead and click on Flipgrid and make it on your own after I'm done here. And after I'm at, is there any more questions? And then I can let you go and start recording. Madison, I was going to say, are you just stretching, Miss Madison? I can't quite tell. Yeah, okay.
And can I thank Paxton and Lyric for persevering today?
Yes.
I'm really proud of you. Thank you for staying on and showing up and being a responsible third grader. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
I like that. That's showing integrity. When you do things, even though they're hard sometimes and you don't want to do them, that's some good integrity as well. All right, I see a couple more hands. I'm going to let everybody, if you feel like you know what you're going to go do, you're going to go practice a couple. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, freeze for just a second. I forgot one last thing. When you are done reading, you have a fluency checklist on page 38 and 39. And I would love it if you could identify one thing that you think you did well and one thing you could improve on.
Just let him know that.
All right. So that's just, it's on page 38 and 39 in your workbook. So that is something that if you were here,
for
you
recess for when we return.
but if you could,
What page again?
Page 38 and 39. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm so sorry. I got into my my deal here and I forgot to share my, you guys are wondering what I'm doing. Here, right here. Here we go. Sorry. Page 38.
I'm not sure because
39.
I was not in his
You're going to
breakout room,
identify
period.
one thing you did well and one thing you could improve on. And it looks like this.
Since he's continuing with the
It looks
disrespectful
like this. In
behavior
fact, let me use my doc
with
camera.
online learning, I think we should just.
I gotta mute Mrs. Aubin here. There we go. It looks like this, guys. It's just a checklist, and it says I can read all the words correctly. Yay, I can do that. I can correct myself when I reread. Yes, I'm awesome at that. I can read it, my text at a speed that is appropriate for the piece. Ooh, Mrs. Harrison is not always good at that, so maybe I'm only a 3. I can read smoothly without many breaks. Ooh, I'm pretty good at that. I can read groups of related words and phrases together. Ooh, I need a little more help with that. So check, So you're going to go through pages 38 and 39 when you're done, just to give a self-check, okay? Self-check. Make sure that you're doing good. Oh, I got Mrs. Isabella's thumbs up. Thank you. I know somebody's listening to me. Thank you so much. All right, my friends, if you have a question, I see that I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and